Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points. And on this Tuesday, we have plenty ahead on the show for you tonight. The big Red Fort Delhi blast. Is it the outcome of white-collar terror? Is this the new threat that's being posed at the moment? Radicalization possibly of Kashmiri groups. Has that become part of India's new terror challenge, particularly of professionals? We'll raise that question as that investigation now continues. Also ask, was it a result of a major security lapse, and who will be held accountable? Also, who benefits from a bumper Bihar turnout? Round 2 is over. We'll tell you what the turnout means. Remember, we have the big exit poll of India Today tomorrow, which will bring you the most detailed analysis from reporters who've actually been on the ground. But the top story that we are breaking at this hour now, highly placed sources in the investigation into the Red Fort blast are telling us after their initial findings that the blast was not a suicide attack. In fact, the sources are now claiming that the suspect, Mohammed Omar, triggered the explosion in panic. This is the doctor who is seen as the main suspect in the blast. According to the sources, the bomb was not fully developed and therefore had limited impact, is what is being claimed. Munish Pandey, who's been tracking that, joins me from Red Fort. Munish, it seems according to the investigation sources that this was not a fidine or suicide attack, but a panic attack, particularly after the module in Faridabad was busted yesterday morning. One of them panicked and reportedly detonated it, possibly accidentally. What are you picking up?
Well, Rajdeep, sources are claiming that because of the counter-terror action by the Jammu and Kashmir police and other agencies, which includes the raids in Faridabad, the accused in the case, which is Dr. Omar Mohammed, he panicked, and that is why he left Faridabad. He came to Delhi, and at Lal Killa, where I am standing, he detonated the bomb. Now, at this point of time, agencies are saying that it was because of their action, this big attack was averted. It was not a fully developed bomb, and that is why there was no sharpnels in the bomb. There was no crater created at the time of bombing. So all these, if you combine all these elements, then it looks like that the accused, the prime suspect in the case, panicked, and that is why he triggered or detonated the bomb. But Rajdeep, at the very same time, one cannot deny the fact that there was a lapse from the security agencies also, especially by the Delhi police, because there was a specific input by the Jammu and Kashmir police that there is one person called Dr. Omar Mohammed. He is absconding. He is a person of interest. And Rajdeep, if you notice, yesterday there was a tweet by the Jammu and Kashmir police at 6:10, which is 40 minutes before the blast, regarding Dr. Omar Mohammed, that you can run but you cannot hide. And just 40 minutes after the tweet, this unfortunate incident happened, in which 8 innocent people lost their life. More than 20 are still injured, battling for their lives in LNJP hospital. So at one can say that Jammu and Kashmir police has done a good job by busting this module, but at the very same time, it was not enough to avert this blast completely, and also, to arrest Dr. Omar Mohammed at time, so that the blast could have been averted in the national capital.
You're giving very important information. You're saying Jammu and Kashmir police had informed the Delhi police that someone called Dr. Omar Mohammed was still missing and was part of the module. Am I correct? And this information was given when? Yesterday, when the module was busted in Faridabad? Because for the longest time, the Delhi police was claiming there was no link between Faridabad and Red Fort.
Well, Rajdeep, sources have told India Today, and I spoke to top sources in the intelligence agencies also. What they are saying is that when they busted the module, when several suspects were rounded up by the Jammu and Kashmir police in Kashmir, when the raids were being carried out yesterday at Faridabad, this specific intel input was given that there is one person, Dr. Omar Mohammed, he is absconding. And the same name has been mentioned publicly by the Jammu and Kashmir police in their press note, which was first released at 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon and at 6 o'clock again, 6:10 to be precise, by the Jammu and Kashmir police, saying that you can run but you cannot hide. It was regarding Dr. Omar Mohammed. So Delhi police, the special cell, was aware that this is a person of interest. He travelled from Faridabad, which is just few kilometers away from the national capital. He travelled from Faridabad, he entered Delhi, he was in the parking lot for almost 3 hours, and at 6:50, around 6:50, he came to this location and he carried out that particular blast.
Okay, Munish Pandey with very important information there. Appreciate you joining us on the show at the top tonight. I want to turn to the investigation itself so far, which has revealed Dr. Omar Nabi Mohammed to be the main suspect. Dr. Umar is allegedly linked, as we said at the outset, to the terror module that was busted in Faridabad. Most of the members of the terror cell were allegedly practicing doctors, many of them from Pulwama in the Kashmir Valley. Tonight's top story is where the investigation is heading into that terror blast which caused the lives of 10 innocents. Take a look.
A Hyundai i20 car with a man wearing a mask at the wheel, now believed to be Dr. Mohammed Omar Nabi, left the Sunheri Masjid parking lot. Four minutes later, at a red signal outside the Red Fort near the metro station, the car exploded. The first terror attack to hit the national capital in 14 years. On Tuesday, the Jammu and Kashmir police tracked down on Dr. Umar's residence in Pulwama, detaining many of his family members for questioning. DNA samples are now being matched to confirm the suspect's identity.
हमने सोचा कि अब कुछ करेगा हमारे लिए, इसे भी जहन में है कि कैसे गरीबी में कितनी सख्ती में माँ ने पढ़ाया लिखाया. अब ये हमारी होप थी, हमें पता था कमाने वाला खाली वही था.
Police sources say Umar allegedly carried out the suicide attack as a search was already on for him. He was linked to an alleged Jaish-e-Mohammad terror module busted in a 15-day joint operation by Jammu and Kashmir and Faridabad police forces, but made public on Monday morning. His alleged associates in a major terror plot, Dr. Adil Ahmed Rathar and Dr. Muzammil Shakir, were already in the custody of security forces. Police claim the elaborate terror network unraveled few days ago with the arrest of Dr. Adil Ahmed Rathar by the Jammu Kashmir police from Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh, where he worked. The police allegedly recovered a AK-47 rifle from his locker at the Government Medical College in Anantnag, his earlier workplace. Dr. Shakil, a colleague of Umar at the Al Falah University, was arrested from Faridabad. The police recovered nearly 360 kilos of ammonium nitrate from his rented house on Sunday. The police also seized a rifle and ammunition from a Swift Desire car, allegedly used by Muzammil Shakil. The owner of the car, a female doctor from Lucknow, Shahin Shahid, was also arrested on Sunday. A search is on for her brother, Dr. Parvez Ansari. The police claim they seized 2,900 kilos of bomb-making material in these raids conducted across states.
From Kashmir to Faridabad, to Delhi. The agencies are now piecing together how a radicalized doctor drove an I-20 car laden with explosives, killing and injuring many lives. With Mir Farid from Kashmir and video journalist Rohit, this is Shreya Chatterjee for India Today.
Okay, let's raise big questions on the show tonight. The Red Fort blast, is it the outcome now of a white-collar terror network? Is the radicalization of professionals now posing a new threat to security agencies? Is the Delhi terror result also of a major security blast, and who will be held accountable for that? Is there a link between the Kashmir and Delhi, between the Kashmir Valley and the Delhi blast? That's the questions I want to raise right at the top. We'll also put out unanswered questions in a moment. General VP Malik, former Army Chief, joins me. Neeraj Kumar, former Commissioner of Police, Delhi. I'm also joined by Dr. Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer with us. We'll be joined in a moment by Soumya Avasthi, a counter-terrorism expert. Thank you all very much for joining us. I want to first come to each of you. And General Malik, as someone who's looked at these issues over the years, from your vantage position, do you get a sense that we are now seeing the emergence of a new form of terror in particular, and the links that we are seeing between possibly doctors in the Kashmir Valley and indeed terror modules, sleeper cells?
Yes, Rajdeep, good evening to you and to my panelists and those who are watching this program. But before that, I want to tell you that after Operation Sindoor, a lot of people asked me that after this, is terrorism, the terror attacks are likely to be over? And I said no. At that time also I said no, they will continue. Why? Because cross-border terrorism is not a policy of Jaish or Lashkar-e-Taiba. It is a national policy of those people in uniform in Pakistan. And today they are headed by somebody who's emboldened, who he heads the whole organization. He had made himself field marshal. He's anti-Indian and he's anti-Hindu. And therefore, you are likely to see these things more, I think, in future. Now,
you're making a very serious. You're claiming that what happened in Delhi last night must be linked to Asim Munir becoming virtually the de facto head of Pakistan, field marshal, self-appointed in a way, taking over the country, and his sort of anti-Hindu, anti-India rhetoric and the blasts that have taken place, and also linking it to Operation Sindoor. Am I correct, General?
Yes, you are correct. And why I am saying is that let's not go through this one incident or two incidents. I'm talking of the policy. The policy is not made by Jaish-e-Mohammad or Lashkar-e-Taiba. The policy has been made by the head of the state, our virtual head of the state, who is, we all know, Field Marshal Asim Munir. And you know the kind of a person he is. And currently he stands emboldened. That also I would like to say here. Now, having said that...
But I just want to say this, if I may push you a little further, General, on that. You will recall that when Operation Sindoor took place, the Prime Minister of the country said any act of terror will be treated as an act of war. Now, if this is established as a terror attack, and it seems to now clearly be heading that way with the NIA taking over, should we treat it as an act of war? And therefore, should the response be proportionate to what happened? How do you respond? Because you're on an escalatory ladder then, General.
Look, the response has to be there, and I'm sure it will be there. In fact, the Prime Minister has already mentioned that. But what kind of response, what level of response, I think it will have to be left to the people. And it is too early for us to predict that because we still are investigating the whole issue. But if it is proved to be something which has been initiated at the behest of the Pakistan Army and their ISI, then I think the response will have to be more serious. Now, coming to your second part of the question, and that is what has Red Fort terror attack exposed? I think it has exposed a new terror strategy and methodology. It has also raised some very disturbing facts and disturbing questions. And I think we need to look into that. The first is, as we said, that this is this has been done something. Some people who are well-to-do, who are well-educated, who are white-collar professionals, and they have been indoctrinated. They have been radicalized, and they are not only in India, in Kashmir, but I think that they are also outside. So it's a within the nation, it is a transnational activity which is going on, which has been exposed. And this is, now we have to be more alert. We have to ascertain as to what all has happened. There's a huge lot of work which has to be done by the investigating agencies. Now we
I'm just going to stop you, General, because you've raised many unanswered questions. I just want to take them to my other panelists just for a moment, because I want to put those questions up. How did the car evade? Because we have a former police commissioner of Delhi and a top cop with us. How did the car evade police checks when a search was on for this specific individual is my first unanswered question. Was it a planned attack or a panic attack, as the investigators are now claiming? Were there inter-agency failures? Was there a larger terror plot brewing? Has the whole terror network been busted? Neeraj Kumar, why don't you take that first, because you worked as Delhi Police Commissioner. Is it impossible to patrol every corner, every mohalla of a city sprawling like Delhi, particularly crowded areas like Chandni Chowk, even though there may be information that one of those involved in the module which was busted was on the run? Do you believe it's impossible to do that, or do you believe there's a security lapse?
Well, I don't think that it is a security lapse, because unless the information or the intelligence is specific, saying what is the number of the car, where it is, where exactly it is likely to be seen, etc., it is not possible to intercept it. However, there ought to have been a general alert. I'm not too sure whether it was there or not. I'm not too sure whether the kind of checking that was required was on at that point of time. But I want to emphasize one thing. It's all very easy to say that, well, we had alerted Delhi police that so-and-so would be visiting Delhi. Unless the information is specific, it is almost impossible to intercept a vehicle in the crowded areas where it was found.
Kiran Bedi, you want to weigh in on that? Because there will be those who will say that here was a vehicle that was moving for 3 hours. Apparently, of course, as Neeraj Kumar says, specifics were not available of the vehicle. All that was known that a particular individual, Dr. Omar, had escaped from that terror module in Faridabad. Was that enough, you believe? Or do you believe it's impossible at one level to check every vehicle, especially in crowded areas?
Yeah, in this case, the information ought to have been a little more specific. Maybe the car number, maybe the car color, maybe the make of the car. I think that kind of specificity will narrow down accountability. Then they could have checked all Hyundai cars, they could have checked all off-white cars, or they could have checked by numbers. I think that could have been said. If that had become more specific, you couldn't say, well, we did not do our homework well. So I think the information, you just cannot say we said it and there's somebody on the move. Now who, which car, what number? I think needed to become more specific, but we must give full credit to the J&K police for having done such an amazing detection. But I want to say there is a new trend here. I think why was this man, is an unanswered question. Why did this man park for so long at Red Fort? Why? Was he waiting for a signal? Was he waiting for an opportunity? Why? Why would somebody who knows he has ammunition in the dicky, he would wait and park itself, that too somewhere near the Suneri Masjid, somewhere there, which is not an insensitive place, but a sensitive place. But he parked for so long. Why did he drive out? Was he waiting for a message? And I also think that he was moving to pass on this message, this ammunition to somewhere ahead of Red Fort, because it has got blasted while moving. So he is not stationing to blast it. He's moving. Now, in the moving, but he's moving. Now, why is he moving? And if he wants a crowd panic, then he could have gone into a Chandni Chowk. So I think he was carrying this ammunition towards the northwest Delhi and to probably some sleeper cells to deliver. Because after all, he has left behind 2.9 tons of ammunition in his house. He's carrying only a little bit in his dicky. So he's probably carrying it. Why would he, as a doctor and as a leader of this group, who's probably made a lot of money out of it, because this cannot be moneyless, made a lot of money out of it, I'm sure. This sleeper cell and this radicalized white-collar crime is nothing but huge money amount. He's probably going somewhere. We need to know that. I think these are two things which are unanswered from us.
That's a very important point you raised, because it was possible that this ammunition was going to be taken to another place within the national capital to cause an even bigger blast, given the kind of ammunition that he possessed. And did he panic is the question. But Soumya Awasthi, there is also the question that these are all those who are being arrested, or a number of them are doctors. One of them a female doctor, two of them male, all from in and around Pulwama. Are we seeing, as we saw during the rise of Simi and the emergence of Simi in the early 2000s, professionals, now white collar, perhaps becoming part of these terror sleeper cells? Is that a recent phenomenon, or do you believe it's been building up for a while?
Thank you, Rajdeep. So I think it's not a new phenomenon altogether, and this was very much part of the module which was used by Simi, or we talk about Popular Front of India. They have all been focusing on diaspora or the people who are educated class, engineers or political scientists. In fact, I remember interviewing one of the overground workers in Kashmir post-Pahalgam attack, and he was masters in political science. So it's not that the white-collar jihadists is a new phenomena. It's just that now more and more people are volunteering to join these terror groups. And that is a worrisome situation, because if the educated is behaving in such a manner, it can cause havoc for any nation which is sheltering them. And this doesn't, it has no question, but yes, they are, the attack was more of a panic attack, because the raids that were taking since morning, they were rattling out all the names which were connected to these perpetrators. And in that panic, I think he wanted to, as Kiran ma'am highlighted, that it was more of a panic because he wanted to relocate before getting caught. And in that process, he detonated those, or the blast took place.
But Soumya, you're saying that these white-collar professionals, this is not a post-Operation Sindoor phenomenon.
No,
you're seeing this building in Kashmir Valley, possibly over the last 4 or 5 years that we've seen this happen. And this could, in a sense, represent a new challenge, because perhaps these are new sleeper cells without many of them having any history of being involved in previous terror activities. These are not cross-border terrorists. These are homegrown, which is another big challenge.
Yes, that is true. And also when you talk about radicalization, if you see what kind of and the sleeper cells, in fact, when it was this ceasefire happened, there was a lot of worry that now more and more sleeper cells will get activated while the drones were firing at each other in the border areas. And the sleeper cells was activated post ceasefire itself. So it was not that when will it happen, it will happen or not, but it was more about when will it happen. So there was a bigger plan in the mind, but it had to be cut short, and that's what we saw happening at the Red Fort. And yes, it is a matter of worry. Online jihad course being launched by Jaish-e-Mohammad. One of the women, Shahina, who was also member of the JEMs, apparently she was heading the women wing for India on behalf of JEMs. So all these things do cause worry for us, and social media has to be held responsible, because,
No, why is social media to be held responsible?
Yeah, because nowadays more and more youth is getting, mind is getting polluted by these untrue stories, which are, fabricated stories, fake videos. Terrorism that has come youth without having enough understanding of the background issue has also become a potent weapon in the hands of terrorist organizations that using social media platforms to radicalize the people. So we don't need a field. They are using
Right.
gaming applications. They are using the communication channels to radicalize and do propagandas.
You know, that makes it more dangerous, General Malik. You've got someone like Asim Munir as the field marshal in Pakistan. You've got someone who is determined in a way to use what Zulfikar Bhutto once said, to bleed India with 1,000 cuts. Then you have this radicalization taking place. You've got the instability in Kashmir that continues to exist, a sense of anger, possibly frustration, certainly among some youth continues. It is a potent mix, isn't it? And that poses even more security challenges, particularly, as I said, with these white-collar professionals emerging as part of these sleeper cells.
No, I agree with you that today's security threat is much more, particularly because of the leadership that we have in Pakistan and the kind of policies. You know, Rajdeep, I'm not very happy because our focus is too much, while the investigation is going on, but our focus is too much on these proxies. We are not looking at the people who are teaching, who are supporting, who are creating these proxies. And we are not paying much attention to that part. After all, it is the ISI which has created all these proxies, and they are the ones who are funding them. They are giving them intelligence. They are giving them missions, what to do, where to do, and all that which has been going on. So that is why I am saying that let's not look only at the short-term problem, which is there, of course, which may increase, but let us also look at the long-term problem. After all, how do we get hold of some policies, some strategies where we can target the people who are perpetrating, who are creating these missions for the proxies? So that is why I feel that our focus should not only be on Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish and all. We should be looking at the ISI, which is controlled by the Pakistan Army.
You know, given what you're saying, Neeraj Kumar, how prepared are the police force, honestly, to be able to tackle these new challenges? It's one thing that the NIA claims to be a specialized anti-terror unit, but you've got now the emergence of these new models. Credit to the Jammu and Kashmir police. Let's give them credit that they almost have busted that entire module. It could have been far worse. But given what we've seen, is that a big challenge? How prepared are the police across the country? It's not just Jammu and Kashmir, but across the country to face this new challenge. You're on mute. You're on mute, Neeraj. You're on mute, sir. Yes, go ahead.
I fully agree with you that this is a new challenge that we are facing of white collar, as what you call a white collar terror. I'm not too sure whether it's a very apt description of this new phenomena. But please do not forget that so far the Delhi police may have slipped on, not preventing this incident. But if you go by the record of the Delhi police in the past in dealing with crime, terrorist crime, it has done extremely well. And almost every incident in the past, whether it is the Parliament House attack, whether it is Delhi High Court blast, or whether it's the Red Fort attack, all these major terror incidents that have happened in Delhi have been solved. And they have been solved by the Delhi police, not by any external agency.
So, okay.
What I'm trying to say that even in the current investigation, the Delhi police is playing a very important role, and rightly so, because the blast has taken place in Delhi, and it has interstate linkages. So surely other states are also chipping in. But
no, I take your point, sir. I take your point. But the point I want to raise, Kiran Bedi, is quite simply this to conclude, is that given the nature of challenges, the multiple challenges that you face, there are cyber threats now, there are threats coming through social media, there are groups now congregating through social media. Do you believe that the police is equipped to tackle these multiple challenges? The J&K police at least has its ear to the ground, because many of these sleeper cells have links to the Kashmir Valley. But across India, are we prepared to face these new challenges that might emerge? A quick answer.
Yes, can, provided they stay united. Besides, if they stay collaborative, work as coalitions, work as regional police forces, not as one state like we did. If J&K quickly informed Haryana informed Delhi, but the best is the way the investigation is now so very unified. I think the way everybody is pooling, I think resources will get generated if they work as coalitions, a proper exchange of information, and not be competitive in declaring who did what, but be coordinated. I think that's the solution, nothing else. Otherwise, the second thing is why? Because there's sleeper cells spread out all over the country. This reveals 2.9 tons was for sleeper cells all over the country. Now these states have to work together to identify these sleeper cells. Right. And these sleeper cells are probably in the educated communities, schools, colleges, universities, hospitals. You never know where. So I think now this is the pattern where if we reach out to the educated, you may start having certain other narratives coming in that we are getting after that. I think this case reveals we have ecosystems to blast. And in the ecosystems, they are also in religious institutions.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there.
Including money, Rajdeep. Including money, because this doesn't happen without big money.
Okay, let's leave it there. Lots of interesting insights raised with four very fine minds. I appreciate all of you joining us here. But I want to, for a moment, turn to those who really suffered today. Names, anonymous, all lost to one senseless act of terror yet again. As investigators track the masterminds, the families of the victims are legitimately demanding answers. They are asking, why was there no security? Who will be held accountable? How many more ordinary lives will be lost before we feel safe again from terror? This is not just a story of a terror strike, but of the story of the people it left behind, from Uber drivers to e-rickshaw drivers. Take a look.
Many lives lost, families shattered. A day after the Red Fort blast, the grief is raw and the questions are many. Behind every headline, there is a face, a story, a home torn apart. In a corner of Delhi, Pankaj's family spent hours dialing his number after the blast. The 22-year-old, an Uber driver, had gone to drop a relative at the railway station.
जब पता चला तो न्यूज़ देखा, न्यूज़ देने के बाद इमीडिएट इसका फ़ोन मिलाया तो स्विच ऑफ जा रहा था। फिर हम वहाँ से आनंद फानन में यहाँ आए, थाने में गए। थाने में तो बोले नहीं, मैं पुलिस वाले का नंबर दे रहा हूँ, आप वहाँ जाओ। तो यही पूरी रात दरमियान चलता रहा, कभी वो रात भर कोई पहचान नहीं हो पाए। लेकिन आपके मीडिया के थ्रू से ये जो गाड़ी का फ्लैश हुआ है, तब जाके हम कंफर्म हो गए जो नहीं।
जी, कैसे पता चला? कौन आया?
At Srinivasapuri, the neighbors of Amar Kataria, an only son, remember a kind young man who lived with his parents.
शाम को 7 बजे जब घर आ रहा था, जब घर आने के लिए दुकान से निकला ना, तो जब भी वहाँ ब्लास्ट हुआ है।
हाँ, तो कहाँ लगा था?
इसको यहीं लगा है, सिर पे लगा। होनी तो भगवान के हाथ में है, होनी तो आके रहेगी। और जो वहाँ से गुजर रहा था, गुजरते ही बम फट गया।
Noman Ansari had come to Delhi from Shamli with his friend Aman. While the blast claimed Ansari's life, Aman is battling for survival in the hospital.
यहाँ जिंजाना में दुकान करते हैं कॉस्मेटिक की, और वो सामान लेने के लिए गए थे सदर। तो वहाँ से जो है हमारे पास कॉल आई शाम के टाइम, इसके चोट लग गई। फिर हम वहाँ पहुँचे, नौमान की हमें लिस्ट नहीं मिली, हमने बहुत रात देर तक के देखा। फिर सुबह ही जो है सुबह ही पता लगा। नौमान तो हमें दिखा ही नहीं जी, ना देखने दिया था ना अंदर जाने दे रहे थे।
In Meerut, grief spills out of a small one-room home where Mohsin's family gathers. He drove an e-rickshaw, the only source of income for his parents and two younger siblings.
मेरा भाई का नाम मोहसिन था, वो वहाँ ई रिक्शा चलाता था और उस टाइम पे वो जाम में फंसा हुआ था। उस टाइम पे फोन आया मेरे पास पापा का 10 बजे, इन्होंने सारी घटना मुझे बताई। जब मैं 10:30 बजे 11:30 बजे फिर मैं दिल्ली पहुंचा, फिर मैंने 2 घंटे वहाँ छानबीन करी, पूजा वाजा की, बड़ी मुश्किलों से मुझे अस्पताल में गया मैं, फिर वहाँ जाकर शनाख्त करी मैंने।
Subhash, another victim, used to work at a toll booth.
डबल ड्यूटी करते थे, परिवार चलाने के 2 परिवारों की जिम्मेदारी थी, जो कि बहुत बुरा हुआ है। इसमें कहीं ना कहीं सरकार की बहुत बड़ी नाकामी है, इसमें सुरक्षा में चूक है। दिल्ली जो देश की राजधानी है, अगर यहाँ भी ये होएगी तो बाहर के हालात होंगे।
Their pain doesn't end there. When Subhash's body reached the hospital, the family says even dignity was denied.
अभी भी हमें शाम को तो एम्बुलेंस भी हमको दे नहीं रहे थे। जब हमने परेशान करा, हंगामा किया और क्या नाम 100 नंबर को कॉल किया, उसके बाद यहाँ पे तो इतने दलाल हो रहे हैं, 15-15 हजार 20-20 हजार रुपए उनको मांग रहे हैं।
Each home tells the same story of lives lived on hope, of dreams crushed in a moment. With Milan Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's turn to the other big story. Polling has ended in Bihar, the 2-round poll, and then the big news is Bihar has recorded the highest ever woman voter turnout. It has not just recorded the highest voter turnout since 1951, but now the Election Commission has given us the data at last, which shows that women have broken the record with the highest ever voter turnout. Remember, in the phase 2 itself that went to the polls, the voter turnout has gone up to 68.73. So there's a huge jump, 65.08 phase 1, 68.73. Overall, the voter turnout could be as high as 10% more than it was in 2020. 71.6% women have voted. The figure for men voters is 62.8. Now, while men actually on the electoral rolls are about 4 to 5% more than women, there's a 9% gap. So many more women have voted in that sense than men. Could the Mahila become the big factor? The battle there is between the incumbent NDA, which has pitched Nitish Kumar as its face, despite not officially naming him as CM candidate, and of course the Mahagathbandhan led by the RJD's Tejashwi Yadav. Will the high voter turnout signal trust in the Modi-Nitish duo and continuity, or is it an indication of change? That's the big question that's going to be raised. I'm joined by Amitabh Tiwari, founder Vote Vibe. He's been tracking this election over the last few months. Sandeep Shastri, National Coordinator, Lokniti. Both of them are people who've tracked numbers closely. Amitabh, you first. The big story coming in, the highest ever voter turnout at 66.91 since 1951, and the highest ever turnout of women. What does that suggest?
Yeah, essentially, clearly we've seen that this time a huge number of migrants have returned back to poll and cast their votes because they felt that they were lucky this time, that their names still remain on the rolls, and if they don't vote, then next time perhaps their names could be deleted because of permanently shifted. So a huge number of migrants have gone back, and also it seems that the Mahila Rozgar Yojana has motivated more and more number of women to come out and vote. Now we see a 9% lead for females vis-a-vis males in the turnout. Right. And for the first time in the history of Bihar, the number of votes cast by women is also more than men. 2.51 crore versus 2.45 crore.
Let's get that straight. So you're saying, Amitabh, about 6 lakh more women in all have voted
Around
than
5,
men?
yeah,
about
around 5 lakh more women.
About 5 to 6 lakh women have voted more than men. Let's divide that, 243 constituencies. I'm not saying that in all constituencies is equal, average. If we take an average, if 5 lakh, 243 constituencies, you're looking at about 15 to 20,000 more women per constituency on average, 20,000. on an average have voted more. That's a very significant number, isn't it?
That's a very significant number, and largely it's on account of the Mahila Rozgar Yojana, which we have been speaking for long, that this election does not have any meta-narrative or a theme, and the only perhaps bigger narrative or statewide narrative or theme was this Mahila Rozgar Yojana, which has transferred rupees 10,000 rupees to 1.5 crore women. Actually, I think it will be 2,000 voters and not...
Sorry, 2,000 voters, not 20,000 voters.
2,000 voters, but in a close contest, 2,000 voters is not less.
So 2,000 voters per, 2,000 more women on an average, have voted more than men across Bihar per constituency. Remember, last time both the parties were roughly 37% each, and the gap in total votes between Gadbandhan versus Gadbandhan was just 12,000 votes. Sandeep Shastri, do you believe, therefore, turnout becomes critical? We've seen in recent elections, Nitish Kumar and the JDU, BJP tend to do better in constituencies where the turnout is higher. In Kosi and Darbhanga, where they did well last time, women voter turnout was higher. In Magad, where it was the Mahagathbandhan that did better, the male turnout was higher. Is turnout, particularly the gender skew, the key now to Bihar in your view?
Rajdeep, the latest data that we are looking at clearly shows that the woman turnout is significantly higher than the male turnout. Let's remember that in the last election in Bihar, woman turnout was marginally higher than male turnout, but not to the extent of what you're seeing this time, which is 9%. While I would endorse the point that Amitabh ji made that the Mahila Rozgar Yojana may have been a key factor in swinging the woman vote, I think we also need to bear in mind two other factors. Possibly a perception among women about the improved law and order situation in the state, also the drive of the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar on prohibition. I think these are two other variables which could be important in the way the woman voter would have voted, because we have seen in past elections that women voters vote on significantly different issues as compared to men. And if the voter turnout of women is so much higher than that of men, I'm sure that these factors would be seen in the result on Friday. And it would be no surprise if the NDA has an advantage because of this factor.
Interesting, because we've seen Amitabh Tiwari in recent polls. Wherever women have voted, that party tends to win. There have been a few exceptions to that. Let Professor Shastri take that first. Professor Shastri, because you've probably been doing this for 20, 25 years, we've seen generally where women vote, that party wins. You can look at Jayalalitha, Mamata Banerjee, Shivraj Chauhan, Narendra Modi himself. Women tend to be a decisive factor. Is that a universal rule? Could Bihar be any different?
Rajdeep, it would be correct to say that by and large, women voters play a critical role in deciding the way the election turns out. This becomes even more crucial in the current case because the woman turnout is significantly higher than the male turnout. And I think women voters have largely been focusing on issues relating to the family, issues relating to health, issues relating to law and order, issues relating to fiscal security. So all these issues come into play. And if there has been such a significantly higher response of women, I think this would be a crucial factor. I would draw your attention to years earlier when N.T. Ramarao was able to sway the electorate in the then United Andhra Pradesh using the woman factor and winning the vote based upon the women factor. Something similar was done by Jayalalitha in Tamil Nadu. So there have been examples of where the woman vote has made a significant difference in the ultimate result, especially when the party has focused on issues which are close to women and which women feel are important in decision making.
Remember, this time it's being called the 10,000 election, or I'm calling it the 10,000 election. More than 1.4 crore women getting 10,000 rupees just before the election, and many of them during the actual election month. But Amitabh Tiwari, as we saw in 2020, that was a bit of an exception because there a substantial woman vote also went to the Mahagathbandhan. In fact, when I speak to Mahagathbandhan's election analysts, they say, all of you sitting in studios are exaggerating this Mahila factor as if every woman is going to vote for the JDU or BJP. There are enough women who didn't get the benefit of the 10,000 rupees. There are women who also vote on their caste identities based on what the man in the house decides. Do you believe that one size fits all, that in every election, generally when women vote one way, that state goes in that direction?
Yeah, so essentially, to be fair, in the last election, as per CSDS data, only 1% lead was there for NDA amongst women. But on the flip side, you can say that that was the deciding factor because perhaps that saved the day for the NDA in that election. So, of course, the women turnout is high. We will have to look at who are these women supporting. In Bihar today, it seems that the male vote is getting fragmented between 3 to 4 forces. Mahagathbandhan, NDA, Jan Suraj, and even significant others or independents like AIMIM, BSP, etc. and rebels. While the women vote, because of the policy of Jan Suraj that they will end prohibition, it seems to be consolidated behind two big forces, which is the NDA and the Mahagathbandhan. So you're right, we have to see in our trackers what percentage of these women who are turning out to vote are actually voting for NDA and what percentage is voting for Mahagathbandhan, because that lead for any Gathbandhan is going to be decisive in terms of vote share and could change the shape of this election either ways.
One final word from you, Dr. Shastri, just to say that it's the MY factor, Mahila and the Yuva. The other key factor is also the Yuva vote. Now that can't be captured by turnout because turnout will not tell us how many people under the age of 25 have voted. Could that be the other X factor to look at closely?
Beyond a shadow of doubt, Rajdeep, I think the youth factor this time in Bihar is going to be crucial. This is a aspirational vote. This is a vote which expects performance. This is a vote which will evaluate how much they can trust what has been promised by different parties. So youth vote is crucial. But Rajdeep, permit me to add one more point. The 2020 election results also saw among women, the caste factor was critical, and you see the quantum of Yadav vote among women which went to the Gathbandhan. So while we talk of the women vote, while we talk about Mahila Rozgar Yojana or law and order situation, we'll also have to budget the caste factor in this discussion because I think the caste factor is critical both when we talk of the women vote and when we talk of the youth vote.
Interesting there. We'll wait and see what happens, of course, come Friday, which is counting day. Also a reminder that India Today's exit poll will be starting tomorrow at 5 p.m. Why have we chosen tomorrow? Because we believe that you must give pollsters sufficient time to actually go through the data before they throw numbers. So this will be 12th November, 5 p.m. onwards, the India Today exit poll. And what's the difference between us and other channels? All I can say is all our reporters who will be analyzing the polls have actually been on the ground. They've gone district to district. So these are individuals who will bring you their ground knowledge, not just sitting in an AC studio, but actually having smelt the mud of Bihar, as they will call it, the mitti of Bihar. And we will try and bring their observations and their analysis to you to tell you why Bihar is voting, not just who they are voting for, but why they are voting for a particular party. So if you want a quality exit poll, look forward to that at 5 p.m. tomorrow onwards. Amitabh, Sandeep Shastri, thanks for joining me. Let's bring you some good news. Curtains have come down on the 4th Mini Karnataka Games 2025 with over 5,000 young athletes competing in Bengaluru across 27 sports. The aim is to nurture under 14 talents for future state and national championships. This is one area perhaps where Karnataka, among other states, is showing the way. Let's nurture the athletes for the future. Nagarjun reports our Good News Today story.
The fourth Karnataka mini games has ended. The week-long event, held at multiple venues in Bengaluru, was organized by the Department of Youth Empowerment and Sports, the Sports Authority of Karnataka and the Karnataka Olympics Association. More than 5,000 under-14 athletes took part. This year's edition featured 27 disciplines. Over 250 individual and team events covering a wide range of sports from archery and athletics to boxing, wrestling, wushu took place.
This was my finals. I won my finals. Last year also I had won. This is a very good opportunity for everyone to learn how to play boxing, to become better. Every day, gradually increase day by day. And like more competitions like this will help a lot of people in becoming better at boxing.
The food was really good. I tried this sweet. It was like one of the best sweets I've ever had. And then I hogged on my friend's food also because one plate wasn't just enough for this amazing food.
The food is very nice. There are very options to explore. There are very much options to explore. The ingredients are very nice and they are healthy to a sportsman.
The Karnataka mini games are aimed at encouraging children below the age of 14 and helping them transit into professional training programs. Officials say the competition prepares athletes for state and national championships.
Future of our country will be lying on our young children. At this age, if we groom and then if we make them to participate in state level and in national level, then they will be our products for next Olympics and Asian Games and Commonwealth Games and international championships.
The state government has announced cash prizes: 7 lakh rupees for gold, 5 lakh rupee for silver and 2 lakh for bronze at national level competitions. It has also rolled out incentive schemes for athletes that include job reservation for medal winners. Bureau Report, India Today.
That's it. That's all that we could pack in on the show tonight. Just another reminder, tomorrow 5 p.m. the exit poll that you can trust amidst all the noise. 5 p.m. onwards, State of War Bihar here on India Today. As I said, the cutting edge, people who've been to the ground and not just sat in AC studios. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, Maria Shakil is there with much more. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubh Ratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.